Hi, I'm Angel. Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome back to Narc-repellent, a channel devoted to understanding narcissistic abuse and recovery, childhood abuse and trauma, and anything related to those topics. I'd like to start with a quote that leads us into our topic for today. This is from Margaret Atwood, author of The Handmaid's Tale. This above all, to refuse to be a victim. Today's topic provides another step toward understanding narcissism and begins with this. Who really is the victim here? Looking back now, it was so easy for a toxic person to infiltrate my life. He had all the right moves. He knew all the right things to say. He poured love and attention into me upon our first re-meeting. There was no way I would have known what he was up to. I didn't wake up until 14 months after we re-met. You see, we were friends way back in elementary school, through junior high, and even into high school, although I don't remember spending much time with him in high school. It was during our fateful first evening again together when we reconnected, where he shared his incredible, sad, pathetic history. He played the victim card so expertly, only I didn't see it, and I didn't get it then. After much therapy, research, and study, when I realized this toxic person put me through the typical abusive relationship pattern of a person who suffers from narcissistic personality traits, I dropped to my knees. What? How did this happen to me? I was so confused. I had this intense desire to understand him more. I hoped doing so would help me understand me more and why it was so easy for me to fall for this energy-sucking vampire. How did it all begin, that feeling of having been somewhat brainwashed and so confused? Through months of psychotherapy, as well as a number of self-care and healing strategies, I was able to trace back to the exact moment that narcissist had me hooked. It seemed so important to me to figure that out. I'll be damned if it wasn't on that very first meetup with him. It was those pathetic stories of his parents' deaths, his 4 marriages, his 4 very troubled children, his job challenges, his near homelessness, and then good fortune of gaining $1 million profit from selling a business. His playing of the victim card was portrayed in such a sweet, lovable way with an almost innocence of all the chaos he'd lived through. Upon further questioning, it appeared that each of the wives came with their own dramatic story. It was always something with the women which created the demise of their marriages. He was always left confused and without an understanding of why they wanted out. Each of his children came with their own sad story as well. He seemed to have tumultuous relationships everywhere he went. Why didn't I notice that at the time? Instead, all I saw was this sweet, kind, loving man trying his best to make a life for himself, and all that he kept getting was bad luck and pain. Poor baby. Such a sad victim. It was at that moment that I decided I wanted to be the one to give this man a happy life, to finally help him make his dreams come true, to help him see how a good woman could repair any of the past pains. I remember hearing the voice in my head saying, I'm going to be the one to finally make this man happy. As I read those words, I remember thinking in my head that evening, and I wonder, whose words were those? What voice was that I heard in my head? Why was I willing to trust so willingly, to accept his love so quickly? How was it that I was willing to give and be everything for him? Was I that desperate? Was I that lonely? After all, I am an intelligent, educated, mature woman. How could I be tricked into this relationship? Was this all because of my childhood, of being trained to be codependent by my mother? Well, this was the beginning of his grooming. It's called trauma bonding. In an article on May 29, 2019 in Psychology Today, Sherry Gaba, LCSW addiction and recovery specialist, describes trauma bonding as being similar to Stockholm Syndrome, in which people held captive come to have feelings or trust or even affection for the very person who captured and held them against their will. This type of survival strategy can also occur in a relationship with a narcissist. He groomed me all right, just like any other abuser. As a well-versed narcissist, he knew exactly what he was doing with me. Because I was hooked on day one on his victim stories, because I made that promise to myself, because I'm a highly sensitive person with great empathy, because I'm a woman of great character, intelligence, and success, Because I allowed this man into my life, I was the perfect prey for this type of predator. But mostly, it was those initial pathetic stories he told me about his 4 wives that really got to me. In fact, all a part of the grooming process, the story about wife 2 was the most devastating, leaving me moved to tears. First, let me share about wife number 1. He was right out of high school, but ended up getting his high school girlfriend pregnant. It was the 70s, so he did the right thing by marrying her. He indicated they didn't have sex after the first night of marriage. She wouldn't talk to him. She wouldn't let him touch her after that. He did get his beautiful baby girl when he was 21 years old, but his wife seemed to have given up on him at some point with no communication about why, leaving him confused. Odd. Wife number 2 was a foreign bride. Although I can't recall the specifics of how they met, her demise is the only part of the story I can remember. You see, apparently, she died in his arms. What? Yes. On one of their many attempts at reconciliation, he met her in a restaurant. He got upset, he stormed out, she ran after him, she ran across the street, apparently got hit by a rushing car. It was there, in that street, across from the restaurant where he was trying to get back to his love, that she died while he held her in his arms. I couldn't fathom the pain of such a loss. He had me right there and then. I couldn't imagine his pain, so that promise was created in my head to resolve all of his pain for him. Ha! And then there was wife number 3. Showing absolutely no emotion, he informed me that she has been homeless in his neighborhood for 10 years. Again, what? Not only was she homeless, but he indicated she was bipolar, schizophrenic, other mental illnesses. She was an alcoholic. She was a drug addict. Was she like this when he met her? No. She was a high-functioning administrator. So what happened? He couldn't understand what happened. He just indicated that she slowly went nuts after the 2 children were born. His now almost 30-year-old son from that union was trouble. He's also bipolar. When he was placed on Xanax a decade ago, he got hooked. Since then, he's overdosed dozens of times on the bad drugs he gets off the street. While I was with the narcissist, there were 4 overdoses. I guess the narcissist had to lock up all of his possessions so the kid wouldn't pawn everything he owned. He'd been letting that kid live with him for the past 10 years, and the kid got him kicked out of almost every living situation he'd been in. The daughter he had from that bond came into the world differently, as he and the mother hadn't spoken for quite some time and then separated. He didn't know his daughter was born for almost a week after her birth. For that, he suffered greatly. He indicated he had no idea why the mom wouldn't let him see his daughter. Another very pathetic story, again making him appear as the only victim in the story. Wife number 4, if there needed to be any more, came with her own interesting background. From another country, speaking a different language, he was introduced to her by his then employer. They instantly decided to get married. Apparently, this would help with citizenship as well as getting her out of a difficult situation in her own country. Wife number 3's family caused major conflict with this new relationship, and it ended badly after a short time. So sad. Another failed marriage, again due to nothing he ever understood. What a sad situation for this lonely dude. Had I been paying closer attention, I may have discerned something different from all those wife stories. Now I believe every story was filled with lies. I'm not sure what truth there may have been in those tales of woe he shared with me. He knew he'd get me with those stories. In fact, I came to believe that he probably used the very same stories on each succeeding wife and any girlfriend since then, and probably any woman he's met since me. What I've learned through this is that I have much to learn. It doesn't matter how many miles you've put on this earth, you still need to have an open mind to learning the lessons that come your way. I realized that our relationship began with him being the victim, but in the end, he victimized me. However, like Margaret Atwood stated, I've chosen not to be the victim. I have been a survivor of narcissistic abuse. My mission is to find you, to find the other sweet ones like this who have slipped into relationships with narcissists only to find that the love they were promised, as well as their soul and psyche, had been destroyed. I know that my story and my healing and recovery will help others, as I've been so blessed to hear the stories of those who came before me. I now feel that I have become somewhat of an expert on narcissism, child abuse and trauma, the connection between the two, codependency, mother wounds, which we'll talk about soon, as well as how to heal from all of this. I hope you continue to join me while I'm on this journey. I've literally spent hours and hours researching these subjects. I have found a lot of peace in my understanding, and although I'm still on this journey, I want to be able to help you. I want to help you understand what may have happened to you if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist. If you find that you like what you hear and you want more, please press the like button, subscribe button, ring the bell. I know you know the routine. I hope to put up a post or two each week. I'm hoping others will begin sharing their stories of truth so that we will all be helped. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day.